Two things that I think are worth discussing. First, the Fed, when they engineer an artificial boom, they also at the same time are engineering an inevitable bust. And what we should be angry at the Fed about is not them raising interest rates now. We should be angry at them for massively expanding their balance sheet in 2020 and 2021. Now, I want to be fair. I'm going to bend over backwards here and say, if I'm a Fed governor in March of 2020, with the pandemic starting and everyone thinking, oh my God, the world's coming to an end, maybe tens of millions of people will die, the economy will freeze up, I can understand why they said, okay, we need to just pour credit into the economy so people feel more comfortable. But why were they still doing that in August of 2020? Why were they still doing it in November of 2020 and in February of 2021 and May of 20, all through 2020 and 2021? Yes, there was an initial big spike in the balance sheet, but then it kept growing and growing. And I wish somebody would ask the Fed governors, Chairman Powell, I'd love to have them on the hot seat in front of an intelligent member of Congress, which might be an oxymoron or whatever that term is. But I'd love to have him grilled. Okay, why did you keep expanding the balance sheet once it was obvious the world wasn't coming to an end? Now, by the way, I think they did it not to monetize the debt, because the U.S. can still issue all the debt it wants. And there are plenty of buyers around the world that, because there's so few other good options sometimes for safe assets. I think there are still plenty of buyers for U.S. government debt. I think they engaged in that balance sheet expansion for Keynesian reasons. They just thought this was good to artificially boost the economy. But of course, as you said, sooner or later, the boom is followed by the bust. And I don't know who said it, but there's a famous line that when the Fed steps on the brakes, somebody goes through the windshield. And maybe that's Silicon Valley Bank, maybe it's Signature Bank, maybe it's other businesses in the country who were sort of lured into making bad decisions on the basis of artificially low interest rates. This is the whole sort of Austrian school business cycle theory that I'm sure you're familiar with. But the bottom line is we wouldn't have the trouble today if the Fed hadn't made the mistake in the first place. So again, the two lessons: the Fed shouldn't have made the mistake in the first place. And then the second is, did they do it for fiscal policy reasons, or do they do it for Keynesian, artificially low, goose the economy, artificially low interest rate reasons? I think it's the latter, but there's actually an interesting discussion among policy wonks in DC about why did the Fed do this?